A few weeks ago, I flew down to Apex, North Carolina to visit the headquarters of Ionna, which is a new DC fast charging network for North America. The company was formed by a partnership of 8 of the largest auto manufacturers in the world: Toyota, Honda, General Motors, Stellantis, Hyundai, Kia, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW. All got together, put a bunch of money in a pot and said, we're going to build out a nationwide DC fast charging network in North America. So when I traveled down there a few weeks ago, I interviewed the CEO and some of the other executives of the company to talk about the brand's strategy and what they plan on doing here in North America, the rollout. We learned a lot of things about the network. Now, some of the first locations are going to be opening up in a matter of weeks, but the company decided to do a soft opening just this week, and they partnered with Out of Spec Studios, run by a friend of mine, Kyle Connor, to have sort of like a grand opening party at their Apex, North Carolina location. Now I'm going to be traveling down there. Actually, today I'm leaving. I'm going to be driving this time down to North Carolina. It's about, I think it's about 560 miles from my house. I'm going to be bringing my friend Pete along for the ride. You may remember Pete was the one that drove with me. Actually, he did the driving when I raced Kyle Connor down to Florida in Lightnings about 10 months ago. We had a New Jersey to Florida 1,000-mile F-150 Lightning race in which, unfortunately, he beat me by 4 minutes, but we had a lot of fun doing that. So Pete and I are going to be hopping in my Lightning in probably about 20 minutes and driving down to Apex, North Carolina, where tomorrow we're going to attend this soft opening event where we're going to be able to charge up the Lightning there. And then they also have reservations from like 100 people to charge their EVs. The place is going to be packed. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's refreshments. I'm bringing my little portable pizza oven. I'm going to be cooking some pizzas, talking to all the people that show up. I think we're going to have a lot of fun here tomorrow and hopefully learn a little bit more about Ionna. With that said, the Lightning's all charged up. Pete's coming over. We're going to head down to Apex, North Carolina, and I'll see you when I'm charging the Lightning up once we get there. Okay, so we arrived here at the Ionna site with 0% state of charge. We timed it perfectly, and look what we're greeted by. A ton of Ionna employees are out here, including the CEO, the CPO, the chief engineer. Everyone's out here, and next to me over here, Kyle Connor just pulled in for Out of Spec with an R1T. He's going to start charging that. But I've been charging over here with Pete, and Pete's been kind enough to reset the charger for me every minute because we're going to do a charge recording. We're going to record from 0 up to maybe 100%, or we might unplug it 90%. It depends on how many people show up and need to charge, just to do a recording and see what these Alpatronic 400 kilowatt chargers can do with the Lightning. I don't really expect it to charge any better than it does on a 350 kilowatt charger, but let's see just how well it does. Now these Alpies are really cool. I call them Alpies, these Alpatronic 400 kilowatt chargers. They got a great screen that shows you a lot of charging data, but the one thing that bothered me a little bit is they have 2 different screens that show data. One of them shows a full charging curve, and the other one shows the state of charge in a big circle like you see here. Pete just reset it because they reset every minute. So these aren't probably the charging stations that I would want to do my full charge recordings on, because every minute the screen clears and you have to press a couple buttons to get it back. But that's a very small use case, so I'm not going to ding them on that. I've already given my feedback to Ionna, and they said, actually, thank you, we want feedback. Part of the reason why we're doing this event here to let a whole bunch of experienced EV drivers come use our equipment and give us a little bit of feedback. So I think that's really cool. We're going to continue this charging session. I'm going to embed it into the video really quick. We'll talk about what happened here, but then during the day, I'm going to talk to a bunch of the people that came, or they're expecting like 200 people. You know, Kyle went wide and told all his followers to come to this event, so a lot of them are taking him up on it. The stations are pretty much reserved for the whole day. That's why I came early before. The event doesn't technically start for an hour, and that's why Kyle and I came earlier so we could charge up before everybody comes. There were time slots you had to reserve to get a charger, and they're all booked up. So yeah, I'll finish charging up here, and then we're going to walk around and we're going to talk to some of the people at the event and get their opinions of this Ionna station here. I think it's really great that Ionna is allowing us to come to this soft opening like this. All right, so the Lightning's all charged up, went from 0 to 90% in exactly an hour, which is pretty much what I see on 350 kilowatt DC fast chargers. I wasn't expecting any more. The Ionna stations can deliver more power than the Lightning can accept. It maxes out at pulling 500 amps, and it only does that for a little while in the beginning of the charging curve, the first 10 minutes. But I'm gonna put that full charging session in time lapse into the video a little bit later so you can see just how it did, and also what the Ionna screens look like, because they're different type of screens. They're set up for Ionna that the Alpatronics units have, and they actually display a lot of good information. But what I'm really so surprised about, well, first of all, you can see people charging in the back now, and more people pulling in. There's a big line on the other side. We'll go over and take a look at that. But what I'm so impressed with is how they finished this site so quickly. You guys might have seen a video that I posted just 2 weeks ago. I was down here. This was a total construction site. They were jackhammering the concrete pad here. Everything's painted, and inside is really amazing. The inside was like barely started when I was here. They were just starting to really do electrical work and all the contracting stuff. And let's go take a look inside and see what it looks like now. So let's walk in. They got nice tables set up here. I mean, this is going to be a great place to sit while your EV is charging and hanging out. So let's walk into the main lobby. So this lobby here is going to have 24/7 access. During business hours, it's open like it is now, but during non-business hours, Ionna customers will have their app, will be able to open the door to get access. So with that, you'll have access to vending machines here, and then the restrooms, which are down here. There's 2 restrooms, really nice restrooms. We don't want to record inside the restrooms. And then in here, there's a second lounge. This lounge is only open during business hours, okay? And it's where we have the concession stand here that's going to be run by a local business. And then you've got this whole extra room over here. Let me walk through everybody. And we've got, I don't even know what this is. It looks like an ATM machine. Oh no, it's a game. I thought it was like an ATM. You could play the Ionna Polycade. Okay, that's fun. And yes, I found the time to play a couple games of Pac-Man before the day was over. And over here we've got 2 meeting rooms. I talked about this when I came down a couple weeks ago. These rooms will be able to be reserved. So if you're, let's say, along your road trip, you need to have a Zoom meeting or something. You come, you plug in, you reserve the room, you come inside, you close the door, and you've got a nice quiet, here this got a nice quiet meeting space. You could even meet clients here if they're local to the area. So there's 2 rooms. This is the bigger room. There's a smaller room over here. Let's take a look at this. Oh, this room's locked, but it's a little bit smaller. But I can't believe this is all done. If you recall, when I was here 2 weeks ago, this was just a total construction site. It looked like they almost just started, and it was literally 2 weeks ago. They talked about Ionna speed and getting all of their charging stations, actually their rechargeries, open relatively quickly and opening up 30,000 charging bays by 2030. That's incredible. And I mentioned in the video I did 2 weeks ago, to put that into perspective, Tesla has 28,000 supercharger stalls in the US now. And Ionna is aiming to have 30,000 installed in the next 5 years. So what they're saying they'll be able to do is install more charging stations than Tesla has done in about 12 years in the next 5 years. Now, on the surface, people would say that's ridiculous, it's not gonna happen. But it's getting easier to install charging locations these days than it was 10, 12 years ago when Tesla started, because they basically invented doing this, these stations that required a tremendous amount of power, and it took a lot longer to get the utilities to give them the interconnect to approve the sites. But now that this is sort of a commonplace, it's doable is what I'm saying. Will they do it? I don't know. They have the power of 8 automakers behind them. You know, they're putting a lot of money into this network. I think these companies realize that this is, you know, an existential threat. If they don't have good charging networks throughout the US, people aren't going to buy their cars. And their electric vehicles are taking over the industry. I mean, it's inevitable. It's just a matter of how quickly is it going to happen. Is it going to happen in 10 years? Is it going to happen in 20 years? Is it going to happen in 8 years? So the OEMs understand that this is the space they need to be in, and if they want people to buy their cars, they have to have charging confidence on the road. People used to talk about range confidence. It's charging confidence now, because the cars can go far. They have the range. But the question is, when you're on a road trip, can you find a charger? Does it work? And Ionna is hopefully going to be part of the solution and is going to help improve public charging. Okay, I'm going to walk back outside and talk to some of the people that are here. It's kind of a mob scene now. There's a lot of people here, and we'll see what they have to say. This video was sponsored by Qmerit, North America's premier installer of electric vehicle charging equipment. After I've helped you decide which electric vehicle charger you're going to buy, follow the link in the description of my videos and have Qmerit install it. And if you follow that link, Qmerit will waive the $150 installation deposit. But in order to have the deposit waived, you must follow the link in the description of my videos. All right, so I'm here with Kurt Stipe. I'm very familiar with Kurt. He's been to both of my annual F-150 Lightning parties that we've had. Hopefully that's going to be an annual event. He's here with his Lightning from Pennsylvania, so he had a nice long drive like I did, right? I was like 560 miles, about how far were you? I don't know. You had to be close.
It was about a 7-hour plus drive.
And I was a little bit longer, so I think because I'm a little bit more north, so. But we're here, and Kurt's charging up his Lightning as I did earlier. And so Kurt, you know, there's a lot of networks out there. We have EVgo, we have Electrify America, there's Flow, there's a whole bunch. There's the Tesla Supercharger network. But now there's a new player in town here, Ionna, and we're here at the soft launch. I'm curious about what people think about this new company, and like, what are you expecting from a company like Ionna? Like, what are your expectations?
Honestly, I have driven this machine everywhere in this across the country. We've driven it from Pennsylvania to West Palm Beach, Florida, from Pennsylvania to Chicago and to Oklahoma City. So I've been at many places where you're sitting in the back. It's an Electrify America station that's in the back of a Walmart next to shipping containers. There are some good ones that are out there with Tesla, with the NACS adapter, at Sheetz and other, Wawas and other locations like that. But I've always wondered why we're not doing more with a lot of gas stations which are either defunct or sitting around doing nothing, and offering canopy places to charge like this, with excellent hardware. I mean, the hardware that they selected for this is the best that I think I've ever used. I mean, Tesla's is great, but because it's very simple, but this stuff is just...
The Optronics units.
Yeah, it's the cable management's phenomenal. Yeah. It's got long enough cables. It's up off the ground. It's just, this is kind of what you want to see. Yeah, and they're very high powered too. Absolutely. Which me and you really can't take in all that power with our Lightnings, but other vehicles can, and it means they'll be charged faster, and there's more throughput and more room for us when we lumber in with our I love my Lightning, so I'm not going to say anything.
No, it's fine. I'm fine with the charging. I wish it charged a little bit better, but I'm fine with it. So, and you kind of answered my next question. I was going to talk about ergonomics. All these chargers are different, but you already said you like the cable management system. How about the process of turning on a charge and using your credit card?
Pretty straightforward. Now I'm in the IT industry, so I'm kind of techno-centric anyway, so it was all right for me. They could probably use some more instructions for people that aren't, but they're taking that input now as we all are here testing this stuff. But what I like about this is they've got the charging curve that's shown on there. It was like pulling up those screens and all of that, so you can see the
you see the full charging curve,
and all of that. But it was very straightforward. They could probably like use 1, 2, 3 kind of options that are on there. But
we have someone authenticating a charge now. So and I also actually like the connector holsters on the front of the unit.
Too.
They feel very secure.
Yes, everything feels secure.
Yeah, so it latches really nice and tightly. Some of the connector holsters on some of the other equipment I've noticed from other vendors, it just kind of rests in there, it fumbles, it bounces around, it can fall out, break. That's when you get the connectors cracking.
Absolutely.
But it's not going anywhere. So the only thing I wish it had was a little shield over the top to protect it from the elements, snow and things like that. But I mean, if it's under a canopy, it's not a problem.
I was going to say,
but
if it's under a canopy,
I don't know if they're all going to be under canopy. So, well, listen, thank you very much. Thanks for coming down here.
Thanks for all you do. We appreciate it.
And thanks for being a good member of the F-150 Lightning, the Northeast F-150 Lightning Club.
Call out to Joe Schultz.
Joe's a great guy. And I guess if I don't see you before, I'll see you at next year's Lightning Barbecue, okay?
Sounds good.
Thanks.
No problem.
All right, so I'm here with Mark Aiken, another member of the Ford electric vehicle family. I'm not going to make this a Ford video. It just happened that I bumped into Mark, and I know Mark, so I thought I would talk about his experience here. So Mark, first experience with Ionna. You've probably charged at Electrify Americas and EV Goes and the other networks that are out there.
Everything.
What are your thoughts on Ionna, on the experience of using their equipment, and the fact that they're taking a different approach and making these rechargeries?
I really like the sort of all-encompassing approach here, that they've got the food, they've got all the activities in here, they've got a place where you can sit down, a lounge, in addition to just doing charging. Because, I've charged in so many parking lots and places across the country, backside of a Walmart, a far corner of a mall, and having these kinds of facilities as a part of a charging experience is really great.
Yeah, I think so. Not all of the Ionna sites are going to have these.
Right.
But all of their sites will have facilities like this, like coffee, restrooms. They're going to strategically make sure that their customers have a place to use the restroom, get a cup of coffee, relax inside. So I think that's really good. But talk a little bit about the equipment. It's a little different than what we've seen here. It's the first time that there's going to be Alpatronic chargers. These are 400 kilowatt power sharing units. The ergonomics is a little different than what you're used to. What did you think about the cable management? How about authenticating the charge? What was the screens? What did you think about what these chargers have?
So I really liked that for this session they decided to charge us for charging, because it gave them a chance to test it out. Now they're doing it at dirt cheap, so it's almost nothing. So, but it gave us a chance to try things out. And one of the things that I found was that when I went in, I was expecting to be interacting with the main screen, when all I really needed to do was beep the credit card reader. And so, these are things that they're learning in the process and figuring out just how to label things so people know exactly what to do when they arrive and so forth, and so that works well. I think the units are robust, the structure is good. I think that the cable management works really well. The screens are cool. I mean, you've got the ability to see both charging sessions going at the same time. It'll even have the charge curves on it, which is, I mean, most people don't care about that. I love geeking out on that kind of thing, so that's great.
Yeah, that's good. All right, listen, thank you very much. We're almost getting run over here. So I think we need to end this interview here. Somebody needs to get a little bit of driving lessons, but thanks for coming here. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so I'm here with Jose from Rivian Tracker. Jose, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do? What is Rivian Tracker and what do you do?
Yeah, so Rivian Tracker I started as a way to communicate with Rivian fans about their software, but I've kind of evolved from there and doing news, doing reviews, doing guides, all different sort of things that revolve around the Rivian brand, and trying to help the Rivian brand grow and be able to not only encourage people to try out a Rivian and see if it's something that they could do and use in their life, but also just teach them, hacks and trips and all that good stuff. And I work very closely with the Rivian team to help get the word out and kind of spread the word of Rivian.
Okay, so we're here at this new Ionna station. Give me your thoughts on this specific station, Ionna's concept, and maybe what you hope Ionna will accomplish? Is it just another network? Is it just another Electrify America? Is it just another chargers out there, or do you think it might be something more?
Yeah, no, first of all, I'm really impressed with this location. I've never been to this part of North Carolina, so I'm not very familiar, if this is going to be a really good sweet spot for them. But with that being said, the concept of this kind of hub, this rechargery, it's really cool, and I want to see it. I live down in Florida. I'd love to see something like this come to our area. We don't really have anything like this. I think that this concept has existed already in Europe for a little while, having this type of scenario, and so I really want to see this grow. I think Ionna has a lot of potential to be able to do this here in the United States, and I'm excited to see them grow and build more of these hubs.
Have you plugged in and charged?
I did.
What did you think about that experience? The whole authentication, the connector, the cable management system?
So easy, super easy to plug in, super easy to tap and use Apple Pay or whatever you want to use. So that's really easy. The cable is long enough that it reaches the corner of where I needed to for my Rivian R1T, and the whole user experience was so nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, thank you very much, and continue doing what you're doing for Rivian owners, which I am one of them, so I appreciate your efforts.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Tom.
Okay, so I'm here with Zach Hurst from the EV Resource. Yep. Zach, thanks for stopping by for a second. I want you to tell everybody, what exactly do you do? What is the EV Resource?
Sure. So I started EV Resource about 5.5 years ago, actually, to focus on consumer education and really push awareness about, at that point, what was much more of an emerging technology. Mm-hmm. These days, the education component, as much as I wish I could say is not needed, as well as I'm sure your audience, it's so needed to really fight the misinformation and make sure that people are prepared for this new technology, new to them. Yeah. The best that they're putting their best foot forward and really making those decisions in an educated way.
Yeah, and you mentioned how education is still needed. Don't forget, we're still at what, like 10% national or something like adoption. So
very early.
90% of the country have not experienced electric vehicle ownership. So yeah, we're still early and a lot of education is still needed. So I'm glad that you're out there trying to help fill that space. So why did you come to this site here today, and what have you learned, and what do you think about what Ionna's doing?
Oh, well, it's loaded, right? Because this is easily, I think we can look back on this type of site as being a pivotal point in EV charging in terms of site design and how the conversation is really going to shift. A lot of EV owners have gotten used to pulling into a corner of a dark parking lot to charge, and you don't know if it's going to work or not, and hopefully it would. But what Ionna is doing is really changing that conversation and focusing on the customer experience. Mm-hmm. So you can see with the canopy, and they've got trash cans and squeegees for the windshields, and they're gonna have an air tire inflator machine installed very soon, I believe. But then they've got the lounge where you can go and you've got the amenities to use the restroom and grab a bite to eat. I'm sure you have probably mentioned it at some point, but even the gaming system in there, they're really focused on the people, not the numbers of just getting something in the ground and then moving on.
No, I agree, and I like what I see so far, but of course, there's been a lot of things that I've liked in the beginning, and then that wasn't executed the way we were hoping it would be, so we're hopeful that they execute. That's the big thing here, and I have confidence that they do to some extent, because this is funded by 8 of very large OEMs, and they're serious about trying to improve charging. I think they understand that this is an existential threat for them.
Yes.
They have to make a good charging experience or their customers are not going to buy their cars. So, I think that they get it, and I think that we have a good chance of this being a very good, as you said, pivotal point. They hired some good people. There's some good, experienced people in Ionna that have been in the industry for a long time. Now that there's people that have been doing this for a long time, we have people with experience. 10 years ago, we didn't have that. So I'm hopeful that this is going to be a pivotal point, and hopefully we're looking at a big improvement in public charging infrastructure. So
I certainly think they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. They're just making a better one.
Okay, listen, thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming on, and let's go grab something to eat and enjoy the day.
Thanks, Tom.
So I want to point out a couple things about the stations. So you notice on the ground, they show you if it's a CCS or an NACS plug. That's where you get the labeling. You also get it on top of the station. You can see this says CCS3 here, and then over here, this station here is CCS2. This is the second station. Each station serves 2 charging stalls because these are 400 kilowatt Alpatronic chargers that split power. So, and they also can deliver up to 600 amps. So these can actually deliver a tremendous amount of power. Even very high charging electric vehicles shouldn't have their power throttled unless like 2 vehicles that can both accept like over 300 kilowatts plugged in at once at a low state of charge. That's rarely going to happen. So I think even though these chargers split power, you're really not going to often have any of your power lowered by the charger. Like I said, unless you both happen to pull up at a very low state of charge, because the way it works, most EVs will accept a lot of power for a short period of time at a low state of charge, but then it starts ramping down the power. So if let's say, a Chevy Silverado EV pulled up and plugged in at a low 10% or 20% state of charge, and they were there for 10 or 15 or 20 minutes, and then you come and plug in with your EV that can accept a high amount of power. By then, the other vehicle's already going to start ramping down its power intake, so you probably won't experience any power derating at all. On occasion it's going to happen, but not often. We've got Teslas down here on the NACS. We also charged CCS vehicles on the NACS chargers today with the adapters. I actually brought a whole bunch of adapters and I loaned some of my adapters to Ionna so they could use them to charge vehicles. It's been a great day. Let's take a look at a station close up too. Let me take a quick close up at this station. Another thing that you notice on the station is it doesn't say like 400 kilowatts or 300 kilowatts like most of the stations do from the other networks. That's because all the Ionna stations are going to have minimum of 400 kilowatts. In the future stations are going to have higher power, and they're all the same, the chargers. Unlike some of the other networks where a couple of the chargers on the site are 100 kilowatts and a couple of them are 350, they need to label them to show the different power that each charger has, but that's not needed here at Ionna because they all deliver the same amount of power. They don't need to have these big labels, and you won't have people looking for the higher powered chargers. And you can pull up in any charging bay and get the same amount of power, which I definitely appreciate. Another thing that I noticed from the people I talked to here today is they really like the ergonomics of these Alpatronic units. The charging arm for the cable management system worked really well. The connector holsters, the screens display a lot of really good information. So overall, I have to say, this was a great day, and everything's been extremely positive from all the people charging here. There's a lot of people that are very hopeful that the Ionna network is going to really help improve public DC fast charging. We just need to get a ton of these out as quickly as possible, and Ionna promises that they're going to, and we'll keep an eye on that to make sure that they fulfill their promises. Okay, and finally I'm here with Seth Cutler. He is the CEO of Ionna. If you follow this channel, you might have seen I interviewed Seth about 2 weeks ago when this place looked completely differently.
Very different.
When you said in 2 weeks you were going to do something like this, I was figuring there was going to be construction tape and walk there but don't walk here. You finished this place in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You were chopping up concrete and had all kind of people working.
Yeah, all types of trucks here.
Yeah, so super job. Maybe that's what you were talking about when you told me you're going to operate at Ionna speed.
This is Ionna speed.
Okay,
you saw it firsthand.
Okay, well this is a very small sample, guys. I am very hopeful that Ionna is going to really help proliferate EV charging around the country and do it right. But that's still yet to be seen. I'm not giving you the key to the city just yet. You've got a lot to prove.
We got to earn it.
But right now, at least, for here today, as far as I'm concerned, this is a huge success. We've got a couple hundred people here.
Yep.
You're charging all these EVs. Everybody seems to love the equipment. I've been asking people about the ergonomics of the equipment, the charging arms. Everybody seems to like the Alpatronic unit that you selected.
Yep.
And love this concept.
Yeah.
With the lounges
Yep.
and the coffee bars, and You guys have been great hosts. I want to thank you
thanks for coming.
doing this.
Thanks
This
for
is a
coming down.
soft opening, by the way. The Apex site isn't open yet.
Yep.
When is it going to officially open?
Next Friday.
Next Friday.
Next
Okay,
Friday.
yeah.
So this, along with a few other sites, will open next Friday.
By the time this video posts, you'll be a day or two away. So if you live in the area, definitely come down and do this. So let me ask you, why did you do this?
The soft opening?
Yeah, why did you open it up and let
so-
all these people come and hammer your equipment?
Yeah, it's a great question. We told you last week two things. We told you Ionna speed, and we told you about the driver first. We talked about concentric circles, and this is really representative of that. We say what we mean, right? And so we really want to have the community come down here, give us feedback, tell us what's working, what's not working, understand what they're seeing, and really be able to incorporate that into decisions going forward. So today was really about us learning and also giving the community a bit of sense of kind of what we're working on, kind of a peek behind the curtain.
Have you gotten feedback from people yet at all?
Yeah, honestly, it's been positive, right?
Okay.
And I think what we were trying to accomplish is really understanding, as we've talked about it, it's more than just the charging; it's the overall charging experience.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, that's the feedback we're getting today. Is the experience they've had has been fantastic, and not just the charger and the interface, which has worked, but the overall experience they've had at the site.
I like the connector holsters.
Yep.
They really holster the connector very strongly. Some of the other chargers that I've seen from other networks, you kind of just stick it in a hole and it bobbles around and it falls out.
Yep.
There's no way this is going to come out of its holder
right.
unless
which is going to protect the handles,
it's broken.
not going to get dropped.
But the only negative thing I'll say is in a snow or icy area, the top of the connector now isn't protected. Now you've got this beautiful canopy here.
Yep.
But maybe you would consider in sites that don't have the canopies, putting some sort of a little connector on it. Now I know the negative thing about that is when you have those things, now you've got spider webs and
opportunity
things,
for dust and dirt.
Exactly.
And stuff.
Well, I'm just thinking like, if it was snowy, there's no protection on the
and this is the stuff we're trying to learn, right? In this event, and then next Friday we go forward what we call our public beta, and again, more learnings. And the whole idea is how do we get more intelligent working with customers and drivers? This isn't just about what's in our heads; it's about working with the community to make this all possible.
Well, I appreciate that, and the fact that you're coming in maybe a few years after some of the other large Tesla's been doing it for 12, 13 years, Electrify America 5-6 years, EVgo maybe a dozen years. You've had the opportunity to maybe see what doesn't work and not repeat those mistakes, which should bode well for you guys moving forward. I wish you all the best of luck.
Thank you,
this
Tom.
is only the first of many times I'm going to be in an Ionna site.
I love it.
I can't wait till you open them up in New Jersey because I want to be there. And just as I will praise you for today, which is, I think you've done a great job opening this up to the community.
Thank you.
If it's not working, you're going to hear it.
I'm expecting it. I'm expecting it.
Okay, well,
thank
you for doing this.
Thank you, Tom.
Next up, let's take a look at the 0 to 90% charging session for my Ford F-150 Lightning. Now, one thing to note is that the Ionna chargers have two data screens that give you different information, and I kind of selected the wrong one. The first one here has a real-time charging curve, and if you notice, on the left-hand side, it has a lot of information. It tells you what station you're at, what are you charging with, either CCS or NACS, the voltage of the pack, the current, the total amount of energy dispensed in this charging session. We're only a little over 3 kilowatt hour here because this session just started. The average power draw, and also the state of charge, where you started and where you're currently at. Now, the problem I had was I didn't see in this upper right-hand corner that it actually shows the current power draw also. I just read down this list and was like, oh wow, that's weird. You don't see what you're currently drawing, but I want to see that for this charge recording. So let's jump over and use the other data screen because I know that shows the current power draw. And that's what I did for the rest of this recording. If I had it to do over again, I would have left it on this screen and shown the real-time charging curve for the whole charging session. Okay, so this is what I left it on for the rest of the charge recording here. And as you can see, you see the current state of charge, you see the power draw in that center of the circle, and on the left you get what station you're at, how many kilowatt hour you've taken in for this charging session, how long you've been charging, and the total cost. Now you'll note Ionna only charged us a penny per kilowatt hour for this event that was held, but that's not going to be the price moving forward. I have asked Ionna for details on their pricing, but they're not ready to release that yet. Okay, so here's the summary screen. As you can see here, I took in about 118 kilowatt hour. The average power charging during this whole session was 114 kilowatt. It took an hour and 2 minutes, which is about average for a Lightning to charge from 0 to 90%. And the session cost me $1.18. The Ionna screens are also going to give you 2 charts when you're finished charging, which is really great. Let's take a look at the first one here. You can see on the x-axis is the state of charge, and on the y-axis, it's the charging power. This is a typical charging curve chart that sometimes you see me doing here on state of charge. This is a great representation of this entire charging session, and if I left it on that first screen, we would have seen this curve develop in real time. And they also give you a charging time chart. You can notice that this visually looks very similar to the charging power chart because it is the same, except on the bottom here, the x-axis, instead of having the state of charge, you have the charging time. So while these charts look very similar, they're different because one dictates state of charge and the other one dictates charging time. You can see on the bottom, instead of the 90% being at the end, it's an hour and 2 minutes, which is how long it took us for this charging session. All right, well, we're just about ready to head home. Pete and I have a nearly 600-mile trip back, so we're going to be packing it up pretty soon. We've been here for most of the day. We've watched dozens and dozens of cars charge. We've talked to, I don't know how many people. So many people are excited about Ionna and hopeful that it'll be a very reliable network with good amenities like we're seeing here. But again, I want to be cautious. This is their first site and it's not even technically open yet. We really don't know what Ionna is going to mean to the industry. We're very hopeful that it means a new beginning, that we're going to have chargers that have high reliability, sites that have great amenities, that are in safe areas, not in the back of dark parking lots where you're kind of afraid to be at night when you're alone. Ionna's promised that they're not going to have any sites like that. So we'll see. We'll stay on top of Ionna as they proliferate. This will certainly not be the last time you'll see me at an Ionna site or me talking to Ionna executives. I'm hopeful that I'm going to have a regular series on Ionna's progress, and it seems like the company is willing to engage with me that way. So this certainly won't be the last time you see me talking about Ionna. Had a lot of fun here today. Got to play with that video game in the lounge that I thought was an ATM at first. They have this really cool video game in there. So, I mean, they're trying to make it fun. They're trying to make EV charging better, to elevate the EV charging experience. And I think most electric vehicle owners, their primary concern is just charge my darn car effectively, don't charge me an arm and a leg. But it's nice to also have these added amenities, and I think a lot of people are going to appreciate it. Listen, if this is your first time here at State of Charge, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming electric vehicle news and reviews. And as always, thanks for watching.